Welcome, Bio4, to part 4 of digestive system. We ended on this slide that had all the different cells of a gastric pit. And we're going to move on now to the functions of the stomach. The first function is mechanical digestion. That's why I put the blender in here. The food is going to reach the pylorus as chyme. We're not going to call it food anymore because by now it's sort of a slush. But it needs to be churned and moved and mixed like with a mixer. So this diagram with the entire piece of pizza, this is all needs to be churned, and you have those 3 muscle layers that are going to allow you to do that. So mechanical digestion, very important. Second, chemical digestion. So this is digestion of proteins by pepsin. Remember pepsin? And by fats, and of fats by lipase. So this digestion is going to begin in the stomach, and it's going to be churning away and using these enzymes to break both proteins and fats down. Now, let's think about what you absorb through the stomach. So we know that you're breaking things down chemically, you're breaking things down mechanically, but what are you absorbing? Are you absorbing anything through the stomach? And the truth is that no food, you don't absorb food. That's going to be intestine. But there are some things that do cross through those membranes of the stomach. Water, because water goes everywhere. Electrolytes, so electrolytes will be absorbed anywhere also. Some drugs, so some pharmaceuticals are absorbed right from the stomach. It starts out the absorption right in the stomach, so I put the aspirin in there, and that's why I can actually excessive pharmaceutical drugs can actually damage the lining of the stomach because they're absorbed right through the stomach. And the other one that is absorbed is alcohol. It goes right through. Alcohol will go through so many different membranes. So that is absorbed. But when you're thinking about food, is the absorption of food happening? The answer is no. Okay, let's move on to the small intestine. This is about 18 feet long. It's a long thing, about 1 inch wide, and it has 3 regions. The duodenum, sometimes called the duodenum. You can say it either way because it's Latin, so we're allowed to say it however we wish. Duodenum or duodenum. And that means 12 fingers. So it's about 12 fingers in length if you put your palms out like this, 12 fingers, and not very long. And into it comes the common bile duct and the pancreatic duct. So remember pictures of this? So here we have the opening of the duodenum. The stomach would have been right there. Right? So imagine this. Food is coming from the stomach and it's emptying out into this little sea here, into the duodenum. Now it's important that we're already pumping all the new enzymes that we need, that the stomach didn't have, that you need to be digesting that food. So this situation is excellent, where the pancreas is sitting right there. And it's going to be pumping its digestive enzymes into the small intestine. Really close, right? It's only just left the stomach. And then the other important thing is that bile coming from the gallbladder is going to be able to enter and come in here also. So essentially, that food is getting bombarded with all sorts of enzymes and bile as it enters the small intestine. Okay, so duodenum is only going to be this little piece here, and then we're going to cut it off. And beyond that, it's now going to be the jejunum. Jejunum. If we kept on going, here in the darker color, you have the jejunum, and then it's going to go to the ileum, ileum, and then feeding into the cecum, and then up, across, down, and out. That's going to be the pathway of that chyme, of that food, or leftovers of it. So jejunum means empty. It's about 8 feet long, and most digestion occurs here. If we've pumped all those digestive enzymes from the pancreas in there, it's going to do a job of breaking that food down chemically. Okay, so break down, break down, break down, break down until it gets to the next section, which is the ileum, which is even longer, 9.5 feet long, and this is where absorption is now happening. Okay, so first digestion and then absorption. Now, by looking at these two, when we look at them in the cadavers, you cannot tell where the jejunum ends and the ileum begins. You kind of have to guess a little bit that if you've gone about 8 feet, then you know that you're sort of in the area of the ileum. So the differences are microscopic, and macroscopically you would not be able to tell. Okay, digestion, absorption. It's a very simple picture of it for you to see it all in one go. Stomach, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, keeps going, and then finally into the cecum, into the large intestine. And this little guy here is your appendix. So it's crazy because it's kind of, it feeds in here, and this is sort of a dead end, right? A cul-de-sac. And off that dead end is yet another dead end. No wonder it can get infected so easily. It's kind of a dead end with food stuck in there. Okay, remember the villi? They increase the surface area, remember? Okay, so what I did want to show you here is that if you came inside a villus, right, what would you see? You'd have a tiny artery, an arteriole, branching out a capillary and going to the venous system. And then also in between, in brown here, is a lymphatic vessel. And that is going to receive some of the digestion of fats. It's going to fall into the lymphatic system first. Okay, so notice how every time you have a villus, you're going to have a whole mechanism that receives that absorption, right? If we're going to actually be absorbing food that's coming in like this. Okay. Functions of the small intestine. Chemical breakdown of what? Of proteins, of carbohydrates, of fats, so of everything. Okay, we were limited in the mouth to digestion of carbohydrates. We're sort of limited in the stomach, but now in the small intestine, we have all of them. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And that absorption is mostly in the small intestine. So enzymes are going to be able to break down what? Well, let's take one at a time. They're going to be able to break down polypeptides, proteins, into amino acids. They're going to be able to break down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. And they're going to be able to break down fats into glycerol and fatty acids. And why is that? Because we can't absorb something as big as a carbohydrate. We can't absorb a big protein unless it's in the form, its monomer, its smallest form, which is an amino acid, or smallest form, simple sugar, or smallest form, glycerol and fatty acids. And that's what we can absorb. And then, as I had said, that absorption is going to be into the blood. It's into the blood for amino acids and for sugars, but it needs a little more screening before fats can be absorbed straight into the blood. So they're going to fall into the lymph vessel first and then come into circulation later. Let's stop there. Our next section is going to be on the large intestine. Thanks for listening.